Hello, for today's walk I travelled to the Creag Meagaidh National Nature Reserve to climb Càrn, Liath, Stob, Poite, Coire, Àrdair and Creag Meagaidh. The total distance for this walk is 21 kilometres with 1218 metres of ascent. It is expected to take around 7 hours and 40 minutes to walk. Links to the route map, the car park, the Scottish Mountain Weather Service and the Creag Meagaidh National Nature Reserve website can be found in the description. You start the walk at the Creag Meagaidh National Nature Reserve car park. It's around 2.5 hours drive from both Glasgow and Edinburgh. You can fit around 50 vehicles in the car park. Parking is free and there are no height restrictions. There's also a toilet around 5 minutes walk from the car park. Starting from the car park, you head northwest along a gravel path. It is a nice clear path. There's a first junction right here. You continue straight ahead. The path will then cross over the road and you continue straight ahead again. You'll come to a grouping of buildings here and there is a toilet block right here. You walk down the right hand side of the buildings following the gravel path as it goes through the woodland here. Follow the path. I've changed to the more detailed map because there's a junction right here. The most prominent path goes on to the left. You actually want to take the junction to the right here. After this point, the navigation is mostly quite straightforward. You're going to start to rise up a little bit more steeply now, and then you'll come to a very large set of stone steps. It's very clear and obvious at this point, and you follow that up to your right. I would recommend doing this route in the anti-clockwise direction. Little bit further up here, around about 500 metres, this really good gravel path stops and then you're onto the heather and mud of the mountainside. It's a little bit muddy and slippy, but it doesn't last long, maybe 100 or 200 metres or so. Then the ground gets a lot firmer and the path isn't bad at all. You make your way up. You will see a little junction here. You can actually go around the back side or you can go up the more steeper direct route here. They both end up in the same place. Continue to follow the track as you're heading in the northwesterly direction and you're rising up. Eventually you come to where it flattens off here on the ridge. At that point you turn to your right and go on a couple of 100 metres until you get to a large distinctive cairn for Càrn Liath. From there you're going to retrace your steps, just taking care when you come to this point not to follow the path back down. On the day I did the walk it was in clouds and you could see people coming from this direction. You're just going to make sure you go more to your right as the path is starting to bend to the left. It's a broad flat plateau, this section. You just follow that along, keeping slightly to the left hand side. And as you get closer down here, I think the path probably goes slightly more direct down to this point here. There's a small Liath that you walk round the side of, and then it starts to rise up the other side. None of this is difficult, there's nothing exposed at this point. The path will gradually bend round and you're just following along the top of the ridgeline. Descends down a little bit, comes back up the other side. Again, no challenges with this. Following it round the top of these crags. There's a little bit of rocky section as you're coming up here. The path is a little bit less distinct, but there is a line of fence posts that you can follow. So you just follow the fence posts. Brings you up onto this long flat plateau. There's a couple of cairns along the way and eventually you'll come to the summit of the second Munro and there's a distinctive cairn again at this point right here. There's another cairn just before it. You just want to check your GPS. After you pass that cairn it does start to descend fairly quick. You'll know you've been at the summit. Again, this descent isn't too steep, just keeping away from the crags on the south. It'll bend round, you go across the Liath here and then up this other side. Now on the day of the walk I went the wrong way. I don't know why. I've done this walk before. I knew exactly where the path goes, but I was climbing up this section and if I show it on the satellite you'll see there's a distinct path that goes all the way up here. There's a small cairn at this point here. At that cairn you should turn to your right and follow the fainter path. You can see there's a thin faint path and there's a broad wide path. I followed the broad path. That was a mistake. So follow the thin path. That'll take you more directly to the summit. As you're coming up here you just follow that path around, keeping to the west side and it'll bend round and you're just keeping above these crags here. Again, there's nothing too exposed about this and you could easily walk slightly further up if you're not comfortable with heights. You're going to pass a rather large cairn just here and then you'll pass that and continue on and then there's a long gradual slope to the very summit and again a very large cairn at the top of Creag Meagaidh. From the summit you retrace your steps round back down to this little Liath and then come down on the northern side of this gully. Very rocky section. It's not difficult, but you do need to take your time. It's reasonably steep, not exposed. There's a little bit of scree on the way down. Having walking poles made it quite easy to descend. As you come down here, you'll come to another stream, and then you make your way down to the Laggan. Then from the Laggan, the walkout is very good path, straightforward. With the shorter days now that it's getting near winter, I chose to go in this direction for two reasons. One, the ascent up here is quite steep, and at the end of the day, when your legs are a bit tired, that's not much fun descending down there. And also, if the light was to fade, this is an easy path to follow with a head torch, and there are no difficulties at all on this section of the path. It rises up a little bit as you come round here, and then it just gradually descends down. You'll join back up to where the stone steps are that you passed on the way up. Come back down to that junction, just make sure you go straight ahead basically, maybe a little bit to your left, and then follow that, keeping straight ahead any junctions all the way back out to the car park. Good morning. I'm at the start of the walk for the Creag Meagaidh circuit. It's just past 7:30 in the morning. Clocks have changed back, so it's a little bit lighter. You can see the ridgeline there. There's quite a lot of cloud around. Most of the ridge is meant to be clear up until the early afternoon. From the car park, you head out the path towards the toilets in a northwesterly direction. At this first fork in the path, just keep going straight ahead. Still heading towards the toilet block. We're going to follow the path that leads down the side of the house there, straight ahead. It's another nice day. Just see the sun catching the ridgeline. It's quite a long ridge with no water sources, so you want to make sure you've got enough to get you up there. When you come to this junction, you want to follow the path to the right. It's a gentle incline up to this point. It's going to get a lot steeper fairly soon. There's no mistaking where you turn off to head up towards Càrn Liath. Nice big set of steps here. A little stream at the side of the path here, so I've filled up. You can probably fill up at the toilets. Starting to gain a bit of altitude. The path up to this point has been amazing. One of the best paths I've walked on for a long time. Doesn't look quite as good ahead. We'll see how it goes. As the view opens up across there to the east, you want to go up here to your left. A little over 1 hour into the walk at 680 metres and just coming into cloud. It's starting to flatten off now. We're almost on the ridge line. We're going to bend slightly to the right, just ahead. Only a short walk now to the summit of Càrn Liath. A nice large cairn, so you can be quite certain you've made it to the summit of Càrn Liath. Brightening up a little bit. Unfortunately not much to see at the moment. The forecast shows the weather to be sunny right now, so it's not quite accurate. So from the summit, I'm going to head directly west, retrace my steps along the ridgeline a bit and make my way to the next top. There's really not much sign of a path along this section. You're just keeping to the flat ridge that we're going along here. It's slightly southwest to start with, and then bends a little bit more west. But as long as you're keeping to the high ground, I think the path picks up a little bit further along, gets easier to follow. I'm just keeping an eye on the map and the GPS. It is a broad section, this, as long as we go westerly. Keeping the sun on your left hand shoulder, can't really go too far wrong, but there is no path to follow at this point. Further ahead it's going to drop off a little bit steeper and the path is down on the left hand side. I'm just looking back, so I'm coming down the left hand side now of this little ridge line. It's starting to drop off a little bit. The path is visible, but it's not strong. If there was any snow, you wouldn't be able to see it. So we just descend down here a little bit, and then we're going to go a little bit round to the right once we get to the small Bealach before the next little ascent. So you can see we're at that small Bealach just between this top. It's very small. We're bending slightly to the right, just following the muddy path as it starts to ascend up here. From the little Bealach, there is a good path to follow. It's nice and clear. It's an easy walk, you get a good pace going along here. None of this route is that difficult. There's a little bit of up and down to do over the whole course, and it's a reasonable distance. It will take around about 8 hours to walk, but the path is good. The ground is, it's not too rough to walk over. Now on the flat bit of the ridge on the approach to the next Munro. Sun's almost breaking through. About a kilometre to go to the next summit. Just looking back the way, you can follow along the line of the fence posts or just walk along the top of this ridge. There's a drop to the left. You can just follow this along. There's a cairn here, but I don't think it's the summit. It's still a little bit further along. This one looks a bit more definitive. I'm at the summit of Stob, Poite, Coire. Unfortunately, still no visibility. It's quite an easy walk from Càrn Liath to this top. I'm going to continue in the easterly direction and we descend down to the Liath and then we go up the other side to Creag Meagaidh. Very hard to tell with the clouds. I've just descended down to the Liath between the last Munro and Creag Meagaidh. This is the descent path here off to the left. Takes you right down to Loch Laggan. We just continue straight on at this point. Then it'll bend up to the left and rise up. Still a fair bit to go to get to the summit of Creag Meagaidh, both in distance and altitude. But that descent was nice and easy. And now we just keep going. Looking back again, once you reach that cairn, it starts to level off a little bit, it gets easier. Still about 80 metres of ascent to go, a little bit of a walk still. A little under 1.5 kilometres to the summit. Yeah, I'm walking along the edge of this ridge where I really want to be going to the right, so I'm just going to cut straight across and join the path. Need to pay attention more. You can see the summit of Creag Meagaidh clearing up a little bit now. The path should go along there, the other side of that cairn you can see over there. And then it curves round to the left. And you can see it's just straight ahead where we ascend. At the summit of Creag Meagaidh. Now that I'm above the cloud, the views are amazing, but you can still see pretty much the entirety of the ridge is in cloud. The second top might just be clear for a moment. But with the wind chill, and we're in November, it is pretty cold. Even trying to hunker down behind the cairn here, still getting a lot of wind. From the summit, you retrace your steps, maybe not in my case because I never really took the right path on the way up, but you head back down to the Liath, heading in an easterly direction. We'll try and do it a bit better on the way back, pay more attention. You can see a lot of people have missed the path there. There's a path down there. It goes across, it cuts across because we're going down, zoom out, we're going down to the Liath down there to the left. The ridge is clear now, you can see the second summit just over there. Can't tell if Càrn Liath is clear at the far end, can't see that far, but I was just a little bit too early. I saw this little cairn in the morning, but as you can see the main path goes straight ahead, so I followed that. That's a mistake. You want to go off to the right and follow this lighter path. It cuts you right round and takes you, nice and direct to the summit with a clear path all the way there. If you do follow that broad path like I did, you'll get to that cairn at the top and then the path goes away round to the left. It's totally the wrong direction. So I don't recommend that. Anyway, from here we go down to the Liath there and then head down to the right. It's almost tempting just to retrace the steps all the way along the ridge. A Brock Inspector. Yeah, that descent's quite easy as well, nothing difficult. We're just going to turn down to the right ahead. There's a big white rainbow as well. Right, so just turn into the right here, follow the path. That last section, it's a little bit rocky and scree, but nothing too difficult. Just need to take your time as you make your way down. Once you get down to Loch Laggan there, the path out is, from my memory, it's really good. Easy walk all the way back down to the car park. And it's nice, it's clearing up again. We've now got a good source of water here at this river. I never actually used the water I collected at the beginning. I had a bottle of juice, it was enough. On a hotter day, different story. It's really nice and peaceful out of the wind. Incredible how calm it is just now. Loch Laggan's like a mirror. From the end of the Loch Laggan, it's a simple case of following the path right down the glen here. It's up on the left hand shoulder of the valley in a north-easterly direction. Very clear path. Should be no difficulty just having a nice stroll back to the car park. The time is 1 PM. There is a little bit of an uphill section coming up, you can see over there. After that, it should all be downhill back to the car park. It's a lovely end to the day. 6 hours into the walk. Not far now to get back down to the car park. I'm now back at the point where I turned off this morning to go up to Liath. So just continue down the path here. At the first junction, turn to your left, and then after that it's a straight path all the way back out to the car park. The last decision point of the day even has a signpost. And there's even a toilet here on site. I'm back at the car park, 6.5 hours time since I left. It's pretty quick, the book time was about 7 hours 40. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you to everybody who's subscribed. We've hit the 1,000 subscriber mark at the point of making this. And I look forward to showing you more in the next one. Bye for now.